Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Bloodstained Wings, and you might not know it, but I'm a big fan of the Lord of the Rings series, and I decided to be inspired by the Trees of Valinar. And I just really liked how gold and silver and the contrast, and I really liked the story about them and the history of them and how they play with Galadriel, who is one of my favorite elves in Lord of the Rings, and the whole story about them takes place in the Silmarillion, and I just was really inspired by the whole story, and I thought I would do a painting of them. This is how that painting turned out. So if you guys want to watch me paint it, I'll go ahead and get started. So, although you saw a beautiful painting at the beginning of this, where I was like, oh, look at this beautiful thing we're doing. Sometimes you do a painting and you don't like it. So we're actually going to paint over a painting that I did that I didn't like. So you can see there is some texture here, there was a tree here, there was a mountain here. Yeah, that existed. I didn't like it. So instead of throwing away the canvas, I thought it would be nice to show you guys what you can do with a canvas that you've already painted on that you don't like. Step one, paint it with gesso. Either one of the gessos will work. I find black gesso covers better than white gesso does, so I would recommend using using black gesso when doing it. Then you can come back in with your goop, which I'm using right now, and there is a little bit of white on my paintbrush here, and that is okay. That's fine. It's not going to make that big of a difference in the grand scheme of things, because it's already mostly gone. But you can see that I am covering my canvas in the goop like I usually do. If this is your first time here, feel free to like and subscribe, because we are going to be doing all kinds of crazy things all the time. So, there will be no shortage of crazy things. So if you're liking it, please feel free. Alright. So, canvas is now fully covered in that. Now, I'm going to do the Trees of Valinar, which is a Lord of the Rings reference. It's not Lord of the Rings, it's pre-Lord of the Rings because it's in the Silmaril, but technicalities aside, I'm gonna do something pretty crazy, is what I'm trying to explain. Oh, I touched the camera. Sorry, I did not realize I touched the camera. Please forgive me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by covering half the canvas in translucent yellow and half the canvas in a kind of mixture of quinacridone violet and Prussian blue. So it's gonna be like a silvery purpley blue on this side and then a yellow on this side. And the reason I'm going for the yellow is because one of the Trees of Valinar is gold and the other one is silver. There's all kinds of stories in the Lord of the Rings about that, which you can feel free to read on your own. I'm not going to get into it because that's a little bit much for my channel, but I can go into it a little bit, just not a lot, because I'm not like a Lord of the Rings channel over here. If you were expecting that, that's not what you're here for. You're here for paintings. I do know that there are other people who have done the Trees of Valinar in a painting. And the reason I'm doing it is actually because one of my friends on Twitch, he is a really big Lord of the Rings fan, like even bigger than I am, which is saying something. And he really likes a lot of things, and he had a painting of the Trees of Valinar in the background of one of his stream things. And I was like, you know, I bet I could do a better job. So, looking up references for this, I can confirm, no, I can't. But I'm going to try to do something that will be nice and fun and interesting. So I've got that mixture of the purple, Prussian blue, and black. It is much more black than anything else, but that's okay. So we're gonna add this on the side. Not touching the yellow just yet. Okay, so we have touched a little bit of the yellow, and that's okay. And this is gonna kind of touch the bottom there, I think, a little bit, just to give it some not straight lines action. There, okay, so now I do have a mountain in here. That's okay, we're gonna ignore that entirely, pretty much. And if you're wondering, how the heck are you gonna do that? Don't you worry, don't you fret, we're gonna do it. So we're gonna make sure we start on the yellow, do the entire yellow side first, and then do the blue side. Otherwise, we're going to have blue in the yellow, and that's not what I want. I want to keep this very segregated so that we have this nice thing. So I don't know if we're gonna go all the way, but we're gonna at least do the background area. So I'm gonna start by making a bright area, and then going out from there, just spiraling outwards. It's gonna obviously get darker as it goes outwards. And I'm gonna be very careful to make sure I don't touch that dark side. Okay, now I'm gonna use my big brush, and I'm just gonna come in and really soften that up. And now we have a nice bright spot in our sky for the tree to go, which looks brilliant. I am really pleased with that. That looks pretty dang good. So what I'm gonna do very gently is to add the tree very gently. And I'm actually going to use the dark color that's on the other side to add a little stem of a tree. Just like that. And I'm just gonna very gently kind of wiggle it out. Wiggle it out to make it look kind of tree-like. The idea is this is very distant and you can't really pick out anything, but there are some very large branches and everything just kind of disappears into the light, which is what I want. Everything just to disappear into the light of the tree. There. So it's very subtle, but it does exist. So now that I have that, I am going to take the dark color that I have here, and I'm going to reshape my mountain to do that. Yeah, you can just move mountains just like that. So there is one half of my mountain. I'm just gonna have another mountain over there. Not that these are necessarily in the story on mountains, but you know, we can interpret things how we want. And if I think the land is a little more mountainous, then it can be, because I said so. Shh, it's fine. Don't come at me, Lord of the Rings fans. I'm just gonna pull this out. And we're gonna highlight that side with the yellow, and it'll look super good. Right now, you can already see there's like this bright light that is that light. Okay, and now I'm going back into the white. So this is a new brush, doesn't have the yellow on it, and I'm just going to try to do the same thing over here, but now you can see it's silver. Oh, we're gonna need a lot of white. Oh, we're gonna need more white than that. Okay, I'm gonna clean my brush. Not really clean it, I'm just dusting off some of the excess. Going back into the white, getting a lot of it this time, and going right into, there we go, that's better. Okay, because we want this to be bright as well. Going around, doing the same thing that we did with the yellow, but this time with the silver. I say yellow and then silver. It's gold and silver. You know what I mean? It's fine. Everything's fine. Okay, knocking off some of the yellow off of this brush, but it's fine because the blue is going to be many times stronger anyways. There we go. Okay, now we can come back in and just blend this very gently. I'm going to come back and add another layer of white, just because I feel like this is not as bright as I want it to be. So I'm going to come back in and do another layer of white. So again, more white, back in the center, blending it out. Don't go back into the center once you have gone away from the center. You will darken the center as the color will be picked up by the brush. So you want to make sure that as you're going here, you start in the center and move your way outwards. Because otherwise you'll darken the center, and you don't want to do that. We want to have our centers nice and bright. So in the center, just blending gently. And then going outwards. It already looks much brighter than it did before, which is great. That's what I wanted. Just going to try to use the other corner of the brush. Haha, it worked. Excellent. Nahaha. Good. So now we have the other tree ready for its stem. So just like the last one, just gonna go ahead and be like a whoop, and then kind of drag out some tree branches. Making sure to keep them nice and wiggly and tree-like, and making sure they all disappear into the ether, into the light. There. All right. Now we can add the rest of the shape of our rock here. Oh, he comes up like this. There he is. See, changing the shape of mountains just like that. And there we go. Okay, whoop. Just gonna pull this out. Go. Beautiful. And now I can highlight each side of the mountain with different colors so that they end up looking like how they're supposed to look. So starting with the yellow, I'm going to mix a little bit of the yellow ochre in with it to kind of cool it down a little. Maybe warm it up a little. I don't know what the words are, but we're going to try to just highlight this mountain so it looks like it's being lit up in the middle there. By the light. And as you go, it'll pick up some of the darker color and get darker as it goes. And then we're going to do the same thing, but with pretty much just white on this side here. Just blending it out as we go, so it looks like there's just light being bounced around over here by the trees. There we go, that's a good one. All right, a little bit more I think through here. Kind of show the trees are kind of like together on that one a little bit. Yes. just gonna grab a little bit more of the yellow through here. Well, apparently I picked up way too much of the darkness there. See if we can, there we go, fix that right up there. There. And now you can see the lights kind of bouncing and interplaying with each other. I think that looks really good. I'm going to take this brush that I used to blend to put the white on, and I'm just going to very gently blend the edge of the two of these together, just so they kind of swirl and mingle. That's better. Just wanted a little swirling and mingling to happen up there. Didn't want the light to be like starkly like separated. I want it to be like woo, because it's magic. Now we can play with like rivers and more mountains. We can play with anything we want to play with now, because now it's open field, because this is how this looks. I think we need a river. So I'm going to grab some more white and my fan brush. And the fun thing about this is that we can have it highlighted with yellow here and then be highlighted with silver here. So I'm really going to play with that. And have like a nice little river coming out like this. And just kind of playing. Like that. I think that looks really nice. To do a river, I'm just doing like little swooshy motions like this to exaggerate this kind of motion. Just side to side, back and forth with a little bit of white paint on my brush. And that's how I get that. I'm going to grab a little bit of the yellow, and I'm just going to come in here and play with a little bit of the yellow just to brighten that part up with the yellow. So it looks like it's more yellow on this side. And then that side you can see is already more blue, so we'll just leave it. What else do we want? Well, obviously this is a lush landscape, so let's add some like bushes and grasses and things like that. So I'm just gonna pull straight down through the mixture that I have that is the background color for all of this. I'm just going to add some quick little bushes. And I think that'll look real nice on the edge of the river there. It does. That's good. I think I'll still put this tree in so that we still have that there. Maybe I'll put a rock here that like it's like rocky here. That sounds like a great idea. And I think I should have some bushes or some grasses or something along here. So I'm just gonna put in some bushes along there, and then we'll have some grasses in the background. And we'll do the grasses by grabbing some of the white on our fan brush. And then we're just very delicately following the angles of the mountain. Just very gently kind of fluttering the paintbrush up and down to just kind of give this little impression of some grasses. Now obviously it's white and gray and not green, which looks a little weird, but I'm just going to round this off like that. And that'll give the impression of a hill going down to the water. Flip my brush over. Make sure to highlight that a little bit more. There. So we have these little like hills in the background. I'm just going to make sure to fade them out so they look really, really quiet and distant. And then they're a little bit brighter because they're closer to us. Maybe they're catching the light a little bit. Right there. That'll look real nice. And then I'll just, no, I'm going to leave that there because we're going to put rocks there. That's right. We're going to put rocks there because I already decided that. That moment when you forget the thing that you just said. It happens. A lot, actually. Let's do the highlight of these bushes here in the yellow. So we're going to grab the brush that we used to do all of this. We're going to grab some of the yellow and grab some more of the white. And just a little bit of paint thinner so that it doesn't, not paint thinner, the goop, so that it has an easier time and it doesn't just blend, but it can go on top of. And you're just, once again, pulling straight down to get the paint on the brush, then flipping it over so that you have this rounded edge. And then you just touch and push. You want to keep in mind bushly shapes, which are generally round. For your highlights. And then as we go this way, it's going to kind of get darker as the paint picks up some of the other colors. And that's fine, because that's where that is. And now we did go into this a little bit, so I'll just clean up its footsies a little bit. Clean that up. There we go. Now it's got some nice footsies. Because I said so. All right, let's add this tree back in. So I need to make more coloring, which is fine. Love to make more paint. There we go. I'm just gonna come in and follow pretty much the same shapes that I already did, because that makes it easier for me. This tree though, because it's backlit, you have to think about that. It's going to be backlit because of where the trees are, and that the trees of Valinor are basically the only source of light. So there is no other real source of light for this tree to be highlighted with. So keeping that in mind, it's going to be in shadow. But he's got a friend. Just plop that back right in there. There we go. Let's give him some big feet. There we go. He's got some big feet. He's really planted. So now, taking the liner brush and that dark color again, making a nice thinner color, we're just going to go in and give him some branches. And you can wiggle your brush all you want. Just really wiggle it. If you find you're having a hard time, it might be that your paint is not thin enough. Try grabbing some more goop and thinning it down some more so it has a real like inky consistency. And that should help you get it to stick and flow better on your canvas. Just want to make that a little bit thicker. Wiggling all over the place. There it is. This guy's got a story, you know? And he'd tell you if you'd listen. But you have to listen. And you know, it gets real fed up with people being like, oh, you need to talk faster. It's like, I am a tree. Speak as slow as I want. You know? You just gotta make up stories sometimes for your trees in your painting. And you can tell me all about it. Tell me about what happened to your trees in your painting. This one, I think, is having a lovely time. I think that the elves would come by and talk to it, maybe even sing to it. Maybe it would sing back, you know? It's very happy in the glow of the Trees of Valinar. And it's got a friend, you know, they're not alone, they're together. Living a happy life. Don't really have anything to worry about. Everything is looking golden over here. Literally, because they're in the light of the golden tree. So that's a thing. There we go. Now you can give your trees as many branches and stories as you would like. I don't want to get too carried away, because I am, after all, recording this for you guys. Not that there's a big man who's going to get mad at me for continuing to paint. I can paint for as long as I would like to. But that I think that you guys don't want to watch a, 2-hour video of me painting tree branches. So I'll call it quits there. We'll give some more bushly textures to the bottom of his footsies. And give some little bushes over here. There we go. And now we get to paint some rocks, because I think they should just be rocks down here. So I'm going to go ahead and get some paint on my palette knife. And again, we're just grabbing the little roll of paint. And that's going to help us to do all the things. And I've spoken about it before. Now, if you need me to say it again, I will. Get that little roll of paint on the end of your knife there. That's the important thing when painting rocks. Well, that's one of the more important things. That little roll of paint on the end there. Okay, and now because it's on this side, just gonna brighten up its footsies down here a little bit. There we go. So that's a little, that river looks a little more defined now, which is good. Now we're a little bit of rocks underneath their footsies. There we go. And now we can highlight those. And we're going to be very gentle with our highlight, because these are very far away from the trees now. And they're shaded by the bushes as well. So we're going to be very gentle. We got a little roll of paint. We're going to be very gentle. Just so close. We're going to barely touch the canvas and then pull. And you don't want to let your knife actually touch the canvas. You just want the paint to touch the canvas. And you can see how thin that is. That's the measurement between you and the canvas right there. It's maybe 2 millimeters. So be very gentle. So we're just going to touch and pull. Just like that. Very gently touch and pull. Letting the canvas pull off what it wants. All you're doing is really guiding the direction. A little highlight right there on these rocks. It's real gentle. And there you have it. The Trees of Valinar. I really hope you enjoyed that painting. If you would like to see it more close up, it'll be available on my Instagram as well as on my Etsy. If you really enjoyed watching me paint, feel free to join me on twitch.tv/bloodstainedwings. I stream every Monday and Friday doing creative things, including painting and sewing. And on Tuesday nights, I do games. And you guys can feel free to join me there. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'd also like to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters. Their names are scrolling by. I really appreciate every single one of them. They make this possible. And if you would like to help make this possible, please feel free to join my Patreon. All the links are in the description below. And full credit to J.R.R. Tolkien for describing the Trees of Valinar. I do not own the Trees of Valinar at all. That is his concept. Thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you guys next week. Mwah! Oh, and remember, you are loved and you deserve to be loved. Okay, bye!